Am I Paige? Oh my gosh. Am I Paige? Are you Paige? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to my channel. It's JusMeLah, and in today's video, I am reacting to Married at First Sight, Season 12, Episode 19, The Reunion Part 2. Let's get into it. I had a lot of things to say today. Okay. The first thing is Paige in the car with Chris? I was like, Paige better not be in that car sitting down with Chris with all of his shenanigans and foolishness. And lo and behold, Paige gets out of the car after Chris. I said, I cannot. That child is not his keeper. I said, Chris is a child. And I said, is she his mama? Why does she keep running after this man? I don't understand. Why does she have this instinct to go after him all the time? It makes no sense. And then when Kevin Frazier was wrapping up the session between Chris and Paige, he says, I hope you all work things out. What does that mean? What do you mean you hope they work things out? You hope they get back together? Or are you saying you hope they can be cordial and just move forward in their lives separately, but have, some peace between one another? I don't like that, Kevin Frazier. And I didn't mention this in the last video, but when he told Paige to get up and go after Chris, when he first got up off the couch, I could not believe that. I said, don't you dare direct this woman to go after this man like she's his keeper. That is not her responsibility. Just because you wanted to be in a virtual setting and be off camera someplace else, you should have been here if you wanted to get up and run after folk. I did not like that. Anyway, I told you that Kevin Frazier, I got my eye on him. When Paige said she was not born yesterday, I said, yes, you were. Yes, you were. I said, you're still not born, okay? You're still in the womb. You're still cooking, because the things you are doing, I'm not understanding. I don't get it. And it goes back to what I've been saying. I've been saying that when Paige is alone without Chris, she comes to her senses. She's very clear. She can articulate herself. She identifies that this situation is not beneficial to her, that she needs to get out. She's over him. But when she is in the presence of Chris, that somehow disappears, and she is in a space where she is just putty in his hands. It is very confusing to me to have such a strong conviction in his absence, and then in his presence for that to just completely go away. I don't get it. But then I started thinking, and it gets into the title of the video, am I Paige? Are you Paige? Have we all been Paige? Okay, because if I think about it, if you think about it, have you been in a situation where you've been with somebody and you knew that they weren't, but then they would just sweet talk your concerns away and all of a sudden you were back together again? I'm not saying that's happened to me. I'm just thinking, I'm using my imagination. And I wonder, has that happened to you? And it's, possibly that's what Paige is dealing with. She is clear on her own, but then he comes back around and he just, massages her brain, does that magic. And sister's like, okay, cool. He apologized. He said, I deserve better. He said he wants to try it again. He says he's afraid of falling in love with me. He says he knows I'm good for him. And so he's playing mind games with her. And the best thing for her to do is just stay away. Just, at this point, the back and forth, let it go. And that's what she's saying she is going to do. And so I am hopeful that that is actually what happens. Paige's friend arrives, and she was a breath of fresh air. I was so glad to see her. Her vibe, her energy was on point. She said everything that I needed to hear from her. And it also was helpful for her to make the distinction between Paige and the rest of the friend group. It was helpful to hear that this is how Paige is in general. So her being graceful, not acting out. We did see her act out once when she was with the producers and she went off. But overall, we've seen her keep her composure in situations that are extremely trying. In situations that, had it been anybody else, they would have lost their mind. So that was helpful because it made me realize that, okay, like this is about Chris, but it also is about Paige. Does that make sense? Another thing that I wanted to talk about, and I'm not 100% sure how I feel about this, but I know initially, my initial reaction was stop telling Paige she is dignified and poised. Like, I get it. And I've obviously given congratulations to Paige, given her props for keeping her composure in trying situations. But I feel like she also needs to know that there's another way that things could have been done. And I think when we continue to laud her for being poised, it's almost like we're telling her that she did a good thing. And while it's great to see her be poised and have control over her emotions and be able to articulate herself without being super emotional, that's wonderful. But I still feel like we missed the opportunity, or we're trying to be very careful. And so we don't just bluntly and plainly say, it did not have to go this way. You did not have to do this the way that you did. There were other ways that you could have handled this situation. There were other options. Because there were. Paige said that it's not her duty to tear a man down. And I said, that's fine. It's not your duty to tear a man down, but it's your duty to protect yourself. It's your duty to prioritize yourself. And it is your duty to move on from a man who is not making you feel safe, wanted, appreciated. Like, to hear the amount of work that the amount of therapy that Paige has to do post Chris is terrifying, in the sense that being with a no good man really will impact a previously secure, strong, focused woman. It really will impact her negatively. Like, it really will shake her, maybe not her self-esteem, but it can make a secure woman insecure. And so I am so sad for Paige that she is in that space currently. I am so sad for her. And I have never been in a situation like Paige is in. I can't even say I've been in something from my own experience, and this is me imagining it again, you know what I'm saying? Because in my imagination, a man's foolishness and shenanigans can have you being less secure, and not in yourself, but just in your trust. That's what it is. And that is unfortunate, because that is an insecurity that is not cute, where you are always second guessing, looking over your shoulder, wondering, thinking. It's like a mind, okay? It plays with your mind. It's not a good thing, and I'm very sad for Paige, but that is something that she has to deal with. Girl, she was with Chris for how long? I don't know how long she's been dealing with this man. Ooh, he's done a number on her, and I commend her for being in therapy. I commend her wholeheartedly, and I'm glad she's prioritizing herself. I'm glad she is smart enough to do that, to do the work to take care of herself. Then Jacob and Haley. All right, so I must be biased, because the heat that Kevin Frazier was giving to Jacob, I just was like, well, where is this coming from? But why is this happening? Jake came out and I said, LMAO, I love Jacob. I think he is so funny. Like, and even his response to everything, he's just so indifferent. He's just like, okay, oh, what up? I don't know. I just think it's funny, because I do feel like, yes, it takes two hands to clap. And yes, both Haley and Jacob could have moved differently. But I do feel like Haley played a bigger part in the demise of their relationship than Jacob did. So that's how I feel. So when Kevin Frazier was just pressing Jacob, I was like, where's that energy towards Haley? I feel like it was very one-sided. Anyway, I said Jacob looks nice and he looks mature. And I said he's unbothered. And I said Haley was too young and too immature, okay? When Haley said she never saw playfulness from Jacob, I was like, girl, what? And when Kevin Frazier was like, you know, with Doug and Jamie thought he was unattractive at first, but Doug sunk his heels into the sand and did that hard work and won her over. Good for Doug and Jamie. What does that have to do with Haley and Jacob? Jacob is not Doug. Jacob is not Doug. Good for them. That has nothing to do with him. I was very annoyed that he kept saying that and that he kept wanting Jacob to do more, do more, do more. It's just like everybody is not built like that. And honestly, I mean, I get that you want to, men are the hunters. And you want to go after what you want. But if he wasn't feeling the vibes from her, he could have done more, I guess. But I don't know. Jacob could have done more. He could have let go of her saying he was unattractive or that she wasn't attracted to him. Jacob could have worked from that space and they could have progressed. But ultimately, I think Haley just couldn't get over his quirks, his thongs, his 80s obsession. She didn't know what a members only jacket was. I was like, dang girl, like, how you don't know that? But stop comparing people. Jacob and Haley are not Doug and Jamie. When Kevin said he's never slept with a woman who hated him, I was like, what does that mean? And then he kind of explained it that like, there's no way she hated you and slept with you. And so I guess he was trying to show Jacob like, bruh, you didn't have it that bad. Like, yes, I know it was bad, but it wasn't that bad because she had sex with you. So you could have worked with that. But as soon as they had sex, she withdrew. So there wasn't even an opening for him to continue to woo her or pursue her. We learned from Jacob that she was only talking to him when the cameras were around. So, I mean, once you learn that information, what do you expect from the man? Could you imagine when Haley was like, I tried to find a physical, emotional, spiritual, whatever connection. I was like, after 3 days, like the honeymoon was the second day. I don't know how many days they were there, but you were done in Vegas. So for her to say she tried, I was like, you didn't try. Like, this was an arranged marriage. Her saying that she put in the effort, I just couldn't take her seriously because no, you didn't. I mean, sometimes she did. She did go out and shop for him. But that was more about changing him to look more like what she wanted him to look like. But I don't think she was ever trying to accept Jacob. And I feel like, you know, her loss. Because I like Jacob. He's cool. And with the beard, even better. I said, I think Vincent has on a lace front. And I said, good for him because it looks good. But, you know, he had all that hair at the front. I was like, we never saw that during the show. He made it seem like he was balding, but it looked good, okay? So fellas, if you want to get your lace front, go ahead, plop on that toupee, pop on that wig, pop on that extra piece. I wasn't mad at it. It looked good. Okay, so now we're with the experts. And I said, thank you, Dr. Pepper, when they were discussing Haley and Jacob, like what happened between these two. I thought it was interesting that the two women were on the same page and then the two men were on the same page. So Dr. Pepper said that Haley needs to go deep and that the small things put her off. She also said that Haley is cold. They revisited some of the activities that Haley and Jacob did together, and some of the instructions were hold hands or reenact your first kiss. Their first kiss was when they got married. It was a peck on the lips. It was nothing deep. Haley was adverse to that. She didn't want to hold his hand. And Dr. Pepper said, that's Haley. Like, she is cold. But Pastor Cal felt like Kevin, like, Jacob, had you just tried more, if you just tried to be more romantic. And I think that's a legitimate critique. And I hope that's feedback that Jacob takes with him. Yeah, he could have romance some more. He needed to be like Vincent, okay? He needed to be like problematic Poppy. He needed to get some candles, take her on a boat, XYZ, take her to the beach, carry her. That's what he should have did. He should have showed her those muscles. Should have showed her how strong he was, okay? He should have picked her up and carried her around, threw her over his shoulder, went running with her on the beach. Maybe she would have liked that. So I get what Pastor Cal is saying. At the same time, you know, it just is what it is. Also, I wanted to say, you know, I like Jacob, and I've already said I think Jacob could have done things differently, but I also think that as time went on, we got to see more of Jacob's personality And so as a viewer, I started to like him more. And so I think that's why I stopped seeing him so much as the problem, because he was funny. He made you like him. Whereas Haley, to me, never seemed likable. And so I think because she didn't come off as likable, her being problematic was more of a problem, because there was no redemption. She had no redeeming qualities about her. You know, she dressed well, and I think that's all I could really say about her. Whereas Jacob, he was funny, and that's I think that's a big commodity. That's an important thing to have, period. Like, people love laughing. Anyway, so Kevin Frazier he said something about Paige and something, but I said, wait, so now Kevin Frazier, you care about Paige's feelings, you care about her well-being, but you still played that clip for her. You don't have care for Paige and her well-being. I have something else I want to say about Kevin Frazier. This is just what I think. I don't know, but I don't want to say it because it may not be, you know, correct to say. But I have my own theories about that man, because clearly the way he treated Paige says a lot, okay? We're going to move on. So they then spoke about Chris and Paige, and they showed when Chris was on, not even when he was on the bus, when they were out wherever, I think after they went four-wheeling. And something I didn't realize, but I realized watching it, was Chris stepped to Virginia. It was Paige sitting down. It was Virginia, Eric, and what's the other girl's name? I don't know her name. Ryan's girlfriend or wife. When they were all there and they started discussing whatever, and Chris came around and stepped to them, I said, Eric did nothing. Now I know why Virginia was so upset. At first I thought she was just upset because verbally he didn't, he just didn't have a lot to say. But seeing that clip again, I'm like, yo, that man definitely came over there with some energy, and you stood right there. You didn't step in front of her. You didn't block her. You didn't hold your hand out to him. You didn't step to him. Oh no. And I see why Virginia was bothered by that, and why she got Eric together and made Eric go downstairs for dinner and try and, pump out his chest and deal with Chris. It didn't work, but anyway. So this is getting to the end, and this is when all of the couples were now together and they were giving their final thoughts. And I said, I was triggered by Clara's statement about be kind, and if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. I was like, I was feeling a little defensive. Now, I will say that it is my goal to be kind to all of these people, because we're all human. We all do things that in hindsight, if we were able to see ourselves, we would cringe at or we would do differently. So I definitely want to give everyone grace. But at the same time, I feel like, yes, you all are human beings, but you're also characters on the show. And so I think the audience interacts with cast members in that way. Yes, we know you're human and we consider that, but also sometimes you're just characters in a show. And so what we say is not personal. It's just that you're characters. It's like reading a book and feeling how you feel, or watching a scripted program and having feelings towards the characters for the things that they've done. And I feel like, yes, people should be kind, but also don't take it personal. So I feel, two ways about it. And then I'm like, so you could be on the show and you could complain and you could rant about Ryan, but we can't sit here and complain and rant about you and speculate about what's wrong and what's going on. I feel like you can't have it two ways. But I do hear her. We do need to be kind, and at the same time. And then my final thought was, oh my gosh, Married at First Sight keeps pumping on with these shows, because we see after this reunion show, there's another episode where they kind of are following the couples now. They're trying to get that coin, all right? I'm not mad at it. But that's all. That is my reaction to Married at First Sight, Season 12, Episode 19, The Reunion Part 2. It's JusMeLah. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in my next video.